Hello, Striders. It's CreepEvee, and I am back. Running a little bit late this week, but I am back nonetheless. And as you can see, we are playing with Jace's Erasure this week. So every week I keep saying, because I'll run into mill decks, and I keep saying, I'm going to play mill on the channel. Well, I'm finally living up to my word. I'm not a big fan of playing mill, but according to Magic's R&D team, mill is actually one of the most popular archetypes, so that's why they keep printing cards that fit it. And it makes sense. Almost every format really has some form of mill, and it's always been fairly popular. You either love it or you hate it. There's really no in between. I'm a little bit in between. I'm not a big fan of playing it, but I don't hate it. It's sometimes it's just kind of like sitting back and not doing much. My issue with it, but there is a lot of fun strategy behind it, and deck building can be pretty interesting with it. I don't know whether this list is great. I kind of threw it together, but I'm gonna try it out. Hopefully it'll work out, but I'll quickly give you the rundown. In Pauper, you don't have a whole lot of options outside of playing Jace's Erasure. If you don't know what it does, it's a 2-drop blue enchantment that says whenever you draw a card, you may have target player put the top card of his or her library into the graveyard. So essentially what we're going to do is try to aim to use cards that allow us to accelerate our draw power while we have Jace's Erasure out. That way we continuously hit mill triggers. That's really the goal of the deck. In a lot of other formats, you play a lot of spells that will mill your opponent's deck, and you can in this format. Generally you want to play it as blue-black, but I feel like the blue-green variant is more consistent, because you have to play the long game with mill in Pauper. You can't kill as fast as you would in, say, Modern. So you've got to pace yourself, and you have to take your time, and you do that by using fog spells in this deck, which is why we're playing green with it. We do have 2 fogs, 2 moments peace, 2 respites, or respites, however you pronounce it. I normally just say respite, and then 4 tangles. The great thing about Pauper is the fantastic selection of fog spells that you have. You could play more fogs, but honestly this deck normally has some mana open for you, so don't mind playing the ones that cost me 1 more, especially whenever they have such good effects. Respite, you could even make an argument for going up 1 respite and going down 1 tangle. It really depends on the meta call that you make, but both are really strong against decks that want to swarm your board. As far as our blue draw spells, we have our Brainstorm, Ponder, Preordain package. Very standard, 4 of each, and then of course 4 accumulated knowledge. You draw, and then you draw cards equal to the number of accumulated knowledges in the graveyard, so it just gets better and better. Ideals Unbound, a very good draw spell, just at 1 because it's 2 blue, so sometimes that's a little bit irritating to try to play. Muddle the Mixture for our Transmute engine, are going to help us grab our Jace's Erasure. Compulsive Research for another fantastic draw spell. Gush, best draw spell ever printed, really, to be honest. And then finally an Arcane Denial for our control spell, because it doubles as a draw spell as well. So it's pretty straightforward strategy, right? You just want to last as long as you can and keep drawing cards. There's definitely more aggressive forms of mill in this format, but if you don't get to your Jace's Erasure immediately, or you don't get to your Mind Sculpts — we only play 2 Mind Sculpts in here because we're really trying to focus on the Jace's Erasure plan. But if you don't get to your spells like that, then you're going to get beat down pretty quickly by some of these really aggressive decks. But when you're playing a fog variant like this, you can afford to take your time and build up, because you want to have all 4 of these on board. Like, that's ultimately the goal. You could even argue for more muddle the mixtures just so you can get all of them on the board, because having one doesn't really get you enough value with your draw spells. Yeah, you're still milling one, but you're going up against a 60 card deck. You really need to be doing more than one for each of your cantrips, because it doesn't say equal to the number of cards, it just says when you draw. So as far as I know, it will only mill for one for every draw trigger. So keep that in mind. It's definitely not quite as fast as Sphinx's Tutelage, but we're basically playing Sphinx's Tutelage in Pauper. So like I said, there are more aggressive options, but I think that this is probably your most consistent build in this format. Jumping over, we have, of course, my 3 dispels that don't match. Of course, never change, never change. My 2 Hydroblasts that don't match. You could even go up another one on these. I have 3 Spreading Seas in here. Thought about putting in 4, just because Tron is such a problem. Siding in 3 counter spells to go with the dispels. 2 Nourish just for long drawn out games against aggro decks. And then 2 Relic of Progenitus to go up against the normal decks that want to utilize their graveyard. Because keep in mind, for those decks, you are filling their graveyard. So I thought about even like main decking at least one of these, just because you are feeding their fire if you start to mill too much. So you have to keep that in mind, that you might just be helping them out. And then you have decks where you just want to keep things out of their graveyard, right? So definitely deserves a spot in the side deck, possibly even in the main deck, but main deck's kind of tight. There's so many things I would like to put in here, but with this, like, to play a fog package, you have to give up a lot of space in your deck. Like, we're giving up 10 spots to fog spells. It's not a great setup, but I probably have too many fogs in here, in all honesty. But we're gonna see how this works out. Like I said, there's more aggressive options out there, and I probably would choose those because I think they're more interesting to play. But as far as consistency, I think that this is your best play style, this blue-green fog mill. But I could be completely wrong. Let's jump into the games and see if I am. Alright guys, looking at our opening hand, I'm going to keep this because I think it has some potential. 2 Evolving Wilds is a pretty slow opener as far as our land base is concerned, but we do have some draw manipulation. We actually have the big 3 in hand here, the Preordained Ponder and Brainstorm. Kind of tentative on using them immediately. I'd rather use the Accumulated Knowledge, I think. So looking at black-green, there's a few different options. I would assume, oh, it looks like probably the like sacrifice to Carrion feeder deck that I played. I'm assuming something similar to that since they're playing the Blister Pod. I'm gonna grab a forest just because we do have the island in hand already. There's another Tangle. I want to cast this Accumulated Knowledge and just see what we get here. So the Muddle the Mixture, that's actually pretty good for us, except for the fact that we have a tap land. I probably should have just searched with the tap land and passed. Yep, looks like Carrion feeder. Which is kind of cool. Getting to see decks from videos past show up. And I guess we'll pass and plan on cracking this for an island. That way we can transmute with Muddle the Mixture next turn. So this could have mixed results because I'm assuming a lot of his cards are prepared to work around the discard. Probably not in a mill sense though, so we should still be fine. But we will see nonetheless. Could tangle here. Since we have 2 in hand, I think I actually will. So decides to eat the blister pod, mortician beetle triggers. It gets a 1/1. Considering that he's I'm just going to be taking 2 here. So I'm going to leave it alone. I'll let it resolve. Well, I'll let the damage resolve. Eats that, so now he gets a plus and the mortician beetle gets a plus. I should have run mortician beetle in our build that we had. I don't know why I didn't. Hindsight's 20/20. I'm probably going to have a lot of hindsight about this build of this deck, because I definitely feel like it could have been done better, but I was limited on time, so I went with what I could put together. I think it functions, it does its job. I mean, I don't want the like quota for how well our deck does to be does it function, but I think it'll work out okay. Let's go ahead and transmute our muddle to mixture and get a Jace's Erasure somewhere here. So we're in an interesting position because I'm very happy to see that our opponent is not playing blue, therefore I don't have to worry about a lot of counter spells. But at the same time, my opponent is playing green, which means he can definitely side into some enchantment removal, things like Nature's Claim, whatnot. So that's going to be a concern. Wish that I could have had mana open this turn. Gets brave and eats the other Carrion feeder. Okay. Well, we drew into another Jace's Erasure. Very interesting. Well, let's try... Well, actually, why don't we undo that? Because we can just leave that open for a fog. Forgot that we actually had a real fog instead of just a pseudo fog. Of course, tangling them would be more satisfying, but we'll just have to settle. We'll go ahead and drop the fog now, so we'll be safe from damage. Otherwise, we would have been dead this turn, because my opponent is getting pretty moving with this damage, adding up very fast. So Thornwood Falls gets us back into the game. So now we have a slight issue, namely that we do not have I guess we just use the draw spell and then have like the tangle up. I don't want to use the big draw spells yet. Really, neither of that is good for us. I'd rather have like some actual mana, or untapped mana. So I think I'm going to put both of these on bottom. I just don't see anything there that really helps me. So Jace's Erasure triggers, and I guess we drop the Thornwood Falls and pass. We do have the Tangle available, but that's about it. I don't want to use any of our big draw spells like Brainstorm quite yet, because I want to keep that available once we get that second Erasure out. Do have to keep in mind that he has cards like Unearth, so we could be feeding that. Nothing we can do about the vampire. This is looking like a very solid build of Carrion Feeder. The one that we built was a little bit goofier. Making the smart choice. He's already seen that we play Tangle, so he chooses to only attack with one creature. Very smart play there, which unfortunately means that we're playing against a good player. Now I want to play against good players. I just don't like playing against them when I'm going to lose to them. We won't untap next turn, but still got to contend with that Mortician Beetle. Alright. So we get an Erasure into play. Play Brainstorm. Get a whole lot of triggers. Gotta figure out what we want to put back. I guess you and you. So we're gonna mill quite a bit here. 6. You know, not exactly a lot, but right now I'm happy with it. We'll put it that way. Thought I put yes to all abilities. Says I have it listed, so I don't know. Okay, so now we gotta figure out a way to not die this turn. And as of right now, we don't really have an answer to that problem. I guess Preordain. We can put both of these, well, yeah, let's put both on, well, no. No, yeah, let's put both of them on bottom because, okay, so you. So you had the Mind Sculpt, that's not too bad. So we're completely reliant on our opponent not being able to kill us this turn, which is never a good way to, never a good situation to find yourself in. Let's see, if he was to eat something here, he could get the Mortician Beetle up to another one, but that wouldn't actually do anything for him in the grand scheme of things. Our end step here, I want to go ahead and gush with the alternate cost. Seems kind of bad considering the kind of low land count that we have right now compared to our opponent, but getting these mills in, I think, is going to be our biggest priority. I think what's happening is one of these is not set up to be automatic. That's the problem. So now they should just go straight through. Maybe not. Vines of Vastwood. We get to the types of fogs that we need. Man, I wish Chase's Erasure did not require me to target. Okay, so we got a few things to look at here. Kind of want to do the accumulated knowledge shenanigan here, but I also want to use Mind Sculpt. So I think we will go here, get 7 out of his hand. Go to next turn, and we have Respite available to us, which is probably going to be the one we go for, seeing as that is also life gain. Nest Invader, not a huge threat to us, but can definitely become a threat, considering that it is going to definitely help out our Carrion feeder friend over there. This is making me miss that Carrion feeder deck. I guess we'll just use Moment of Peace, or Moment's Peace, seeing as he's not attacking with several of them. I'd much rather use the Respite if he attacks with multiple creatures. Alright, well, as the Bee Gees once said, it's all about staying alive. I think it was the Bee Gees. I don't know. Always yes. I don't know why. I thought that I had already established that. Okay. So the Tangle is good. That's accumulated knowledge. I think we've already played one, right? Yeah. Man, making these targets is annoying. This was a horrible idea for a deck for me to play, because this is a deck that has problems with a timer, and that is my forte, is to struggle with timers. Let's ponder. Think about things, you know, because you're pondering on them. You guys get it. It's a joke. It's a funny joke. Pretty much this does not have a Jace's Erasure in it, so I don't want it. I think that's really where I'm at right now. I want another Jace's Erasure. That's all I want for Christmas. Christmas is already come and gone, so just we had a Jace's Erasure, or yeah, pretty much that would be what I want off of a Ponder. Let's Tangle. We are starting to get kind of low on fog spells. We do still have access to our flashback one. Okay, so our opponent scoops. What did we have coming to us? Well, we'll make sure that gets a Jace's Erasure. So let's go to our sideboard. I think that we need to consider the relics for sure. And I think that's about it. Like, there's just nothing really else to do. I guess we could go down like an Arcane Denial. He's not casting a lot of spells. Go down. Maybe, I don't know, we were going through fog so quickly that I don't think I want to get rid of one. I might just go down 2 to bring in 2. I almost want to bring in the Nourishes, but I don't think there's anything that I want to cut for them. Yeah, my opponent definitely could have continued that match, but I understand his frustration there. We were pretty well in a position to keep going and mill them out. So I'm going to keep this just because we have a pretty good mana base and some cards to get us started. It's nothing too exciting, but this deck, it really hurts to mulligan with it, so I try not to if I don't have to. Alright, Thornwood Falls gets us a life. Our Thornwood Falls actually made a pretty big difference in the last game. Like, I think that we would have had a lot more problems. Get to the Young Wolf out. Let us ponder. See what we can find. That is a Jace's Erasure. And we do not argue with Jace's Erasures. Put you on top and put you on top. And no shuffle. You're not going to shuffle away a Jace's Erasure. Not in my house. And we'll pass. And take a good bit of damage here. I don't think it'll be a ton of damage, but it's not going to be fun. I really like that forest. I wonder what set that's from. I'll have to look it up. And the Brindleshote, of course, making things even more difficult than they already are. Take 3. It's not that bad overall. I was kind of expecting more damage. The Unearth gets back the Brindleshote. Now that is a problem. Let's play an island. Jace's Erasure. And I guess we'll pass. Because we can brainstorm at instant speed. Alright, so eats the Brindleshote. It's got 2 boars to sit on now. Which means he's got a whole hell of a lot of damage right now. That's 9 by itself, gonna be 10. And then the wolf adds on another 2, so that's 12 damage coming our way. And we can't really do anything about it, in all honesty. Getting that second Brindleshote made a huge difference. I think that turn right there is probably going to be the game ender for us. Mortician Beetle, another problematic card for us. Let us brainstorm. And as far as what to put back, I guess you and you. Alright, so yeah. Here, here, and here. Oh yeah, he has to do his side of it, and then always yield, always yes. I hit always yes, did I not? Sometimes, like, me and Moto just, we have a very strange relationship with one another. Alright. We need to find more Jace's Erasures. That is what we need. Because right now, 1 is not going to help us when we're at 6 life. The 2 accumulated knowledges, we don't have any other in discard. I guess we're just going to have to operate on the moment's piece and having access to the accumulated knowledge at instant speed. Because otherwise, we're just kind of stuck getting hit for a lot of damage. Alright, well, swings out with the 2 boars and the Mortician Beetle. Unfortunately, this guy actually knows how to play around, you know, fogs, and is playing them, like, correctly, which is always unfortunate. But I like challenge. I like challenge. I just prefer it when I'm not losing. Being at 6 left, we do have the moment's piece banked. As much as I want to actually gush here, I don't want to take any lands off my board right now. Jace's Erasure, for some reason, I already told you to always yes, but alas, you You never listen. We could do it like this. Draw and do some discarding. Discard 2 cards or a land card. I will discard this Evolving Wilds because tap land does not seem like a great thing to me right now. And we have a Tangle, which is probably our best bet. I'd love to play that Jace's Erasure, but that's not going to happen for us this turn. Just have to hold open this Tangle. God, I feel bad for our opponent. He's playing so well. He has such a fantastic board established. He's playing a fun deck, and I am here hitting him with a bunch of fogs. It's just rude. Well, those are 2 boars that won't be doing anything next turn, so at least that's going for us. Can get a second Erasure on board. Ooh, and a Brainstorm to operate off of. That works really well. Okay. Why do I still have to tell you yes? Jace's Erasure. Brainstorm. Get a bunch of Jace's Erasure triggers. Put back a Arcane Denial. Put back a I guess a Thornwood Falls would probably be the better one. So now we got a bunch of triggers that are going to cause me to run out of time because I have to individually click these because Jace's Erasure has to be worded in a stupid way that makes things unnecessarily complicated. Why can't you just automatically mill my opponent? I would really enjoy it. I get that self-mill is a thing, but no, it's bothering me. It's making things unnecessary. Alright, come on. Do this for Pauper. Make it happen. Why did that one go through? I don't understand you, Moto. You and I, we live in 2 very different worlds. And we have to gush. Because if we don't have a fog that is playable. I guess in hindsight, I shouldn't have played that land. Should have waited on a potential untapped land like the one that we drew, because then that would allow us to play the Moment's Piece that's in our discard. But we are not going to be able to do that now. We are milling a good bit of cards, though. I mean, it doesn't matter because we've lost, but at least it was fun while it lasted. So yeah, I guess we have to concede here. Because I misplayed heavily. What do we have coming to us? Thornwood Falls. Okay. Kind of want to find room for this Nourish. At least one of them. No, I think that the list is tight enough at this point. Alright, we gotta go into overdrive now. Let's do this. This will be fine. Especially with a Jace's Erasure in the opening hand. Hard to argue with that. Yeah, with Jace's Erasure, we have an accumulated knowledge, we have a fog. Looking good, looking good. It's so weird in this game to talk about fogs because any card that, you know, stops damage is fog. And there's a lot of cards like that in this game, you know, like bears and everything. And I feel like it just, like, newer players, like, I mean, I'm still a fairly new player, and some of these just, like, I'm slowly learning. And I'm just like, where did this come from? Like, oh, it's because this card that's, you know, a billion years old. Slight exaggeration, but you guys get what I'm saying. You definitely got to know your history when it comes to Magic, if you want to know the lingo. Oh man, 2 Mortician Beetles on turn 2? This man, he prays to the right god, I'm going to tell you that. Alright, well we milled his Nest Invader, so we're definitely doing damage now. Alright, what are we going to put back? I want an untapped land, is what I want. And none of this is untapped lands. So, I guess you... We have another Jace's Erasure, just no way to play it considering our current mana situation. So, let's pass. This would be so good if we had an untapped land right now. Right now they're 1/1s, but something tells me that my opponent is going to make it worse. Much worse. Seriously, why was Mortician Beetle not in our original list? I don't know why. Could it be because I'm bad at this game? Probably. If I had to guess. I don't know, guys. I think we just have to go with the other Jace's Erasure. I honestly think that that's the best play. And that's sad that that's the best play, but I think it is. Oh, man. I guess the next turn we have to preordain and try to find a land so that we can have Respite live. Or we might just have to sit on Respite. Or honestly, Tangle would probably be better at this point. Pretty much we don't want to take damage because we're about to take a whole lot of it right now. Let's see, that's 6. It's going to become 9. He can turn that into 12. Oh, wait a minute. No, he can turn that into 15. Yeah, because if he eats the boar, he turns them into 5/5s. So that's 15 damage, just short of being able to kill us. So 2 mill triggers and nothing to do. So like the risk is preordain and try to find a land because we need land very badly. But I don't think we can afford to take that risk. I think we just have to sit on a fog. Of course, he's only going to swing with 1 considering that's all he needs to do. But we shall tangle it so that nonetheless it will not be an issue next turn. Now if we could just worry about the others. I think I should be siding some creature removal, like, you know, just like an unsummon or something like that. Goes for draw spell. I mean, go for it. Draw a bunch of cards. That's what I need you to do right now. So Erasure. Apparently the Erasure doesn't want to target. I was about to say, I don't think he's put down a Ley Line of Sanctity. I should still be able to do that. Always yes. Always yes. Always yes. I don't know. I clicked always yes like 7 times, and that's just still not a thing for it. It's interesting. Muddle the mixture. Also known in some languages as not a land. You know what, let's risk it. Like, the smart thing to do is just to keep doing this, but we legitimately have to get a land in play or else we're going to lose. So let's put these both on bottom. It's a risk, but you know what, it's one I'm willing to take, except it did not pay off. Yeah, that one didn't work out for us. Well, we're going to have to scoop this up, guys. I do wonder what I would have drawn into. Let's see. How long would it have taken to get into a land? I mean, we had enough fogs to stay alive. It's just like, you know, Jesus, how long did we have to go before we got to a land? There we go, and it's a tap land. Like, we had enough fogs to keep going, but it's like, you know, we're getting rid of 2 cards off the top of his deck per turn, and he's at 35 right now. So it was fighting a losing battle, really. But let me know what you guys think. Do you guys want to see more of this deck? I realize that it's not always the most interesting deck to watch, but I know that Mill is still pretty popular. So I wanted to try it out and see if you guys were interested in it. I could also try a little bit different style of Mill, that more aggressive blue-black strategy that I talked about earlier. I think it's a little bit more interesting to play, but like I said earlier, I do think that this is probably your more consistent, more viable build if you're wanting to play this competitively. It does its job if you play the right amount of fogs. It's just if you're playing this in a tournament setting, which I realize that Pauper isn't big in tournament scene, but just keep in mind that you're going to end up going into time. It's not like other Mill decks where you win in, you know, 4 or 5 turns or lose in 4 or 5 turns. This is a deck where you're going to end up going into time and rounds, which honestly I don't even know how Pauper tournaments are run because, you know, they're barely existing. But, you know, random things that I'm telling you to keep in mind that you probably don't need to, but do it anyway. But now that I'm done rambling on with that, I will ramble into a little bit of shilling. If you like the video, please feel free to hit that like button. It shows a lot of support for the channel. And as well, if you want to subscribe to see all of my videos and videos from all of the other fantastic people here at Magic the Gathering Strat, you should definitely click that subscribe button. And if you want to see more of what I do, I'll have a link to my Facebook page as well as my YouTube channel down below. I've got some fun stuff coming up on it that you won't want to miss out on. So I will see you guys in the next episode.